Hi, my name is Todd Ross, and in 1996, my father Roy was killed while racing at the Race City Speedway in Calgary. Over the last 24 years, Bruce Hampton, president of the International Motor Contest Associates, and its drivers have put on a memorial race in honor of my father. This year it's at the Edmonton International Raceway in Wetaskiwin. I'd like to invite you all to come down and watch some great grassroots racing on the pavement. I'd like to ask you a favor. If you are planning on coming down to the Edmonton International Raceway in Wetaskiwin to cheer on one or more of the competitors in this year's 25th anniversary Roy Ross Memorial, please buy your tickets online at eventbrite.ca or email royrossmemorial@gmail.com. All the purchases from either the online sales or through email, the proceeds go directly back to the racers of the show. Please support them and come on down and again watch some great racing. Thank you. And now we're going to watch a video of one of the competitors in this year's race. I'd like to thank Ian Burgess for doing the interviews and for providing them to the Roy Ross Memorial. Thank you. Enjoy.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to our series of driver interviews for the 25th running of the Roy Ross Memorial. This year's event will be held over 2 days, July 23rd and 24th, at Edmonton International Raceway in Wetaskiwin, Alberta. The event is named after Roy Ross. He was an IMCA modified driver, drove the number 47 car, and passed away tragically in an accident at Race City Speedway. Through the efforts of the modified community and his son Todd Ross, we've been able to showcase this event, the Roy Ross Memorial, for the past 24 years. The goal of these interviews is to give you a chance to get to know the drivers and hear about their racing journey and what the Roy Ross Memorial means to them. My name is Ian Burgess, and I had the pleasure of racing in this event in 2011. Tonight, we are joined by driver of the newly renumbered number 99 IMCA modified, Alex Krause. How you doing, Alex?
Good. And yourself?
Good. We're both hunkering through a thunderstorm right now, so hopefully the Wi-Fi stays strong and all that good stuff. Maybe just start off, Alex, talking about how you got into racing. I know you come from a family that's been involved in motorsports for a long time, and then your journey as a driver.
Well, my understanding is the Krause racing line, I guess, started a little bit less than legal on some streets with some fast cars, and eventually it evolved into my father, Lee Krause, starting in with Claimer cars at Edmonton International Raceway, running those for a couple of years. He moved up to a Thunder car, which, funny enough, was actually the first full-size car that I drove. We ended up getting it back after he sold it 10 years ago. And then he moved to super late models and had a little bit of success with that. He took some time off and got my sister into a mini cup, which is a great class for 8 to 16-year-old kids. It's a great way to get them started in the racing world and going around in circles, really. My personal journey was through mini cups. I ran that from the age of 12 to 16, had some good years, some bad years. It was a lot of fun, though, a lot of learning with some great people. After that, I ran Thunder cars for 2 years. Well, one and a bit, I guess. Had some success in that, ended up winning Rookie of the Year and the NASCAR championship for that in 2017. And then took a pretty light year. Things were busy with work and such. Just started running an IMCA modified last year. Ran 4 events, and I have to say I learned a lot. It's a whole bunch different than the Thunder car.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's you're in a full race car now, purpose-built race car, and everything that comes with it. What's with the number change? So move to number 99. What's with that? What was the driving force behind that?
Realistically, the driving force behind that was going to a familiar number. My father ran 99 for many years in Claimer cars and Thunder cars. And you know what? Unfortunately, the number 10 was taken, which was my number for a lot of years, but I'm happy to put 99 on the side of the car and continue the trend.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. So last year was your very first year at the Roy Ross Memorial, and it was a busy year. I just read your post from a year ago of after the race and your reflection on that, and you talked about some good laps, some bad laps, and but a lot of learning. And I think that's something you've mentioned a few times is just out there learning. You talked about having people like Travis Lapinus, people that have done this for a long time, coming and mentoring, and your dad's no stiff either when it comes to coaching people on how to drive cars and how to get around EIR for sure. Maybe just talk about your first Roy Ross and what it was like and what you remember from it and your goals for this year.
My first Roy Ross it was a lot of nerves. I hadn't been in the car that long, hadn't really turned that many laps, and it was kind of a strap in and have fun. I was very fortunate to have a really good group backing me. Travis Lapinus, Grant Edwards, Dale Edwards, who have collectively more years racing and around race cars than I can say I've been alive double times over. My sister was a big help with that as well. She's always been a person that I've been able to look up to because she's been doing it longer than I have. And it's kind of one of those things, if she can do it, I can do it. And I trust her to tell me the right way to do it. Um, Realistically, it was just a lot of learning. The first heat race, I made some mistakes, put my nose in probably where I shouldn't have, and just tried to keep the car in one piece for the rest of the night. Um, Really, other than that, it was just trying to figure out how to run with this caliber of drivers. There are some of, in my opinion, the best drivers in Western Canada at this event, and people have been doing it for longer than I've been alive. I grew up watching these people race, and that's such an amazing feeling to be able to be on track with that caliber of racer.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short too much. I know maybe the first heat race didn't go great, but you won the second heat race and held off people like Mike Clark and Tyler Knowles and some of those people who have been successful in this event. The main event was crazy last year. We Mike Clark with three wide, and it was pretty crazy, and there was a lot going on. What do you think for this year's event? It's going to be a 2-day show, and we're going to be racing Friday. Will be the Silver Star Challenge, and there'll be a big WWE belt up for grabs, and then Saturday, Anu Gas Compression, comes forward again. Mark Burton, and they're looking after all the big trophies and the Roy Ross Giant Trophy. Are you going to approach it a little bit differently? Do you think just the nerves will be a little bit less, and that will help a ton? What do you think?
I'm thinking it's going to be taking a step back and keeping my composure a little bit more than I did last year. I felt I got flustered in the car after a couple events and just didn't keep a calm level head, started driving it too hard and just really not making the laps that I needed to make. Um, I think it's going to be a little bit of a slower start to this Roy Ross, just get my feet back under me and make sure I make it through all 47 laps of that main event.
Yeah, and then we were just talking earlier. 18 cars now confirmed so far, and there's a few more people on the fence out there. We might hit 20. Um, raced that track a lot of years. It's a tough, tight track to pass on and things like that. And I like what you said. You gotta just kind of relax, and you gotta hit your marks, and you kind of gotta just stay in your own head and do that. And I think that's what some of the drivers that have run this a long time have learned. And for you to learn that in your first time out is impressive. But it's again not your first time at the track. What do you think is the secret to success at EIR?
That's a tough one because I don't really think there is a secret to success. I think it's a lot of keeping your composure, having a good setup, having a good crew behind you, and just making sure that you hit your marks every time. I personally think it's a very driver dependent track. If you start getting flustered, you start using your right foot just a little too much, you're not going to have it for the rest of the race. And I don't really think there is a true secret to EIR. It's a tough, tricky, tight track, and the D shape of it leads to some interesting events down the backstretch.
Yeah, for sure. Um, your dad Lee, you talked about him. He's raced a lot. He's also been, although he hasn't, raced in a modified, he's been involved in the modifieds through lots of different drivers now through you. Um, I'm sure your dad has talked about this event to you while you were growing up, and you've been to these events. What does maybe the Roy Ross Memorial mean to you, and what has your dad, passed down to you when he talks about this event?
It was always an event that I don't think I completely understood until last year, the heart behind it in the IMCA community and just the how special it is. With unfortunately, I can't say I ever watched Mr. Ross race personally. It was a few years before my time, but I had been going to the Roy Ross Memorial for more years than I can count, and it was always one I look forward to watching and never honestly thought I would get to participate in. Um, it's definitely always an event that's been special in my heart and his, with just the camaraderie in the IMCA group.
Yeah, and you talk about the camaraderie. I just did an interview with Tyler Knowles, and he talked about the racing family. And I know for you, growing up in the Cup cars, it's a whole bunch of young drivers, and so I think in a way that family aspect gets magnified even more. But I've also spent some nights at Boston Pizza with your family and other families, and it is a family. Maybe just talk a little bit about the impact of the racing family and what it means to you, and how it supports you as a driver.
The racing family is an interesting one that I don't think a lot of people understand outside of it, because it's always been people you can rely on, people that you trust. Speaking with Tyler Knowles, he was one of the first people I ever raced against. Funny enough, with his dad in my ear on the receiver, and I honestly don't trust too many people to be 2 inches from my door at 60 mile an hour. And the family aspect of it helps because I know we all share the same common goal. We don't want to wreck things. We don't want to hurt anybody. And it makes the not necessarily danger of car racing, but those aspects of it more manageable, because you have this tight knit group of people that are all looking for the same common goal. And it's always a good group of people to lean back onto. My first Roy Ross, I know I had Tyler Knowles, Barry McTavish, Travis Lapinus, Grant Edwards, all coming and giving me tips on how to make the car work better for what I was trying to do. And I don't think I would be able to say that I ran some good laps without that help.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it is something that a lot of people don't understand. I think people that have competed in a lot of other sports, they think of it in a similar way, in that my goal here is to win and nothing else, and to get it done. And it's a different world, right? It's a world where, like you said, the Barry McTavishes of the world that have won everything there is to win in the IMCA modifieds will come and just say, "Hey, kid, maybe try this, maybe try that," and there's no secrets, there's no special, we're gonna put a tarp over our car until the last second and pull it off so no one knows what we're doing. It's a pretty much, I listened to a podcast with Mark Martin, and he basically said he would give his setup to anyone, and he just said, "I'll just outdrive you with the same setup," and kind of that mentality. But at the same time, I agree with you. It is a affordable form of racing, and we're trying to stay on a budget, so people aren't going out there and wrecking. And usually, if something happens, it's not intentional, right? In most cases, it's something, something breaks or someone makes a mistake or something like that. 18 cars. What do you think about that? How is it going to be? A little bit of survival? Is it just going to be um, feel it out? What do you think?
That's a tough one. Last year, yeah, we almost I think we could have went green to green with a couple mistakes on my part and a couple other people's. If we avoided those, which I think we might be able to this year. I believe as long as everybody keeps their head, it's going to be a green to checkers race, and it's going to be a lot of hard racing because there's not a lot of room on that track. 18 cars, 47 laps goes really fast.
Yeah, it is a longer race for the modifieds, but we're talking about 14-second laps, right? Like things go by pretty quick when you're running kind of 4 laps a minute. It doesn't take too long, 12 minutes to get through 47 laps if it does go green the whole time, and we've seen him go green the whole time before, so it can be done. Is there anyone you'd like to thank, any sponsors, things like that have helped you in your racing career so far?
I would really like to thank Grant Edwards at Evolution Racing Products. The amount of work that he has done and the amount of knowledge he has passed on to me with car setups and driving I can't put a value to it. We are very thankful for the second family that they have become. I also really have to thank Todd Ross for continuing to put on this amazing event and working towards making it amazing every year. He puts in so much work in the promotional side and the setting it up side that we can't ever thank him enough for that. The title sponsors are another one we wouldn't be able to do without them. Mark Burton has always been a large supporter of the Circle Track community. He's known me for probably more years than I remember him, and we are always very thankful to see him at the track with even just being him. Anagas Compression is an amazing sponsor that helps a lot of the classes in the Alberta area strive and continue operating.
Yeah, no, and don't forget your dad and your sister and all.
Oh yeah,
yeah, all that family stuff.
all that family stuff.
All that family stuff. Well, I hear you're racing this weekend. It's the first mod race for the IMCA's at Edmonton International Raceway. I hope all of that goes well. I know you've had a little bit of seat time and shook some bugs out already, and I hope that goes well. We hope everything goes really good for you at the Roy Ross. There's going to be a Young Guns Dash again this year, and you're in that, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. We have a few more Young Guns that looks like we're adding, so it's going to be a busy weekend, but we wouldn't have it any other way. So Alex, thank you so much for making some time for us tonight, and again, we wish you all the best. It'll be cool to see that 99 out there. 99 is a pretty powerful number in Northern Alberta, so you got a couple shoes to fill running that number, but we know that if you look at things that you've accomplished in your past, I'm sure lots can be done. So Alex, all the best. We wish you well. Thank you for what you bring to this sport. Thank you for what your family brings to this sport, and we wish you nothing but the best for the 2021 season.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Thanks.